We are back. Hello guys, hope you had a good summer. It's time for some post-match thoughts on Arsenal's first game of the season, full time in West London. Brentford 2, Arsenal 0. Doesn't sound great, and to be honest, it wasn't great. I think preparation for the game was disrupted. A few absentees with illness, notably Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexandre Lacazette. Funnily enough, I actually think they were probably the players in some respects we missed least. Even though we failed to score rather in the game, I think there were a couple of other kind of spinal figures in Gabriel and Thomas Partey whose absence was more keenly felt. As blunt and attacking force as Arsenal were in this game, I thought defensively they were really poor. It wasn't a great night for Pablo Mari and Ben White at the back. It wasn't a great night, I don't think, for Bernd Leno by any stretch of the imagination. But it wasn't a good night for Arsenal all round, really. And I think it laid bare some of the issues in the squad. I think, right back, clearly an upgrade would be nice. Whether or not the club are prepared to do that without selling some of the ones they've got, I do not know. I think creativity is clearly still an issue. Emile Smith-Rowe, I thought, had a really good game, was busy. I thought Bukayo Saka was bright when he came on. But ultimately, possession did not convert into presentable opportunities. Some of that is down to our lack of centre-forwards, but it's not a new problem. It's a problem that we've had even when we've had Aubameyang and Lacazette in the team to an extent. Talked today about Martin Odegaard. Arsenal's move for him moving forward. I mean, my understanding is he is the number one target. I expect they probably will get him in the end. I think they need him or somebody like him because, we are lacking. We are lacking in the final third. And I know people will say, well, we had him last season. How good were we then? I think it's a bit of a different case. A, he had an injury in the middle of his time with us last season, and B, he's settling into a new club, a new league. I do think he could make a very big contribution moving forward. On this game, well, look, Sergi Canos opens the Premier League scoring a really well-taken goal, but I think Chambers will be disappointed with his defending on that. Some will look at Leno on the near post. I think it's a very good strike, to be fair. The second one, I think Leno is fouled. Definitely from the long throw. But what I would say is he isn't the strongest coming off his line in those situations. He is the kind of goalkeeper you are going to chuck in a deep cross. You are going to chuck in a long throw because you're pretty confident he's not going to come and get it. So he doesn't help himself in some respects in those scenarios. And I'm someone who I think thinks he's better than many Arsenal fans do. What else to say? I mean, Tierney and Smith-Rowe were the bright sparks. But beyond that, there was not a lot to get excited about. And it is concerning because it's the first fixture, but a difficult run that we have ahead. Chelsea and Manchester City. Thomas Tuchel's announced that Romelu Lukaku will be available to face Arsenal, which is the last thing we needed to hear. And yeah, I do think some of these problems will be solved to an extent when we get Gabriel back, to an extent when we get Thomas Partey back. But overall, my feeling is that this is an Arsenal team, an Arsenal squad that feels a bit unfinished. There are areas where we would like upgrades. Number 10, maybe central midfield, maybe right back, maybe number 9, maybe even goalkeeper. And yet we're not going to get that business done. And I say that with some certainty. That isn't all going to happen. And so we're in this slightly odd position where there are players who seemingly Mikel Arteta would be kind of content to lose, and yet we're going to see those players week in, week out. And that is an awkward place to be. Inevitably, the manager is already under scrutiny, already under pressure. I think we're going to drop more points in the next 2 games. So I think that pressure is going to ramp up. I think the club will stand by him. I think they'll give him longer. I think they'll give him into the winter months, definitely. But amidst the fan base, there's going to be a lot of anger out there. And I do understand it. Results have been not good enough. But this one, I do have some sympathy with how many players were absent. I really do. If you think that we started the game without Gabriel, Partey, Aubameyang, kind of the centre of your team, we didn't have Saka starting. I think that makes a big difference. Those four, Lacazette as well, who I think was better than Aubameyang for much of last season. Those 5 players would have helped us tonight. Hey, you know, it doesn't help when you're trying to chase a game, get a goal, and you have to bring on Nuno Tavares at right back and Reece Nelson. You know, by the end of the game, weren't playing with a conventional striker because Eddie Nketiah's out too. So we have been a bit unfortunate in that respect. Anyway, I think tonight showed the danger of just going with the youth, just playing Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka, and hoping for the best. I think we do need more experience around that. I think some of that will come from Aubameyang, maybe Lacazette. I think the rest of it will come in the transfer market. I know Martin Odegaard's a young player, but he's been around the block, and I think we need him or someone like him pretty urgently. There's been a bit of a ramble because, well, I'll give you 2 honest reasons. One, I sort of don't know what to say about that game. Arsenal were beaten by a better team on the day, more organised, more up for it, more experienced, urgent in the press, dangerous on set pieces. A team who basically won every little marginal game that they could and took advantage of the chances that came their way. Arsenal was sort of disappointingly passive and didn't really create an awful lot. Granit Xhaka probably had our best chance of the game and probably came closest with that shot from long range. That tells its own story, really. I don't think it's going to get much better quickly. So I'd settle in for an awkward, painful few weeks. But I do think it can get better as the season wears on. And actually, when we might start to really capitalise is when teams are juggling European competitions and we're not. We won't get into that period for a few weeks yet. Bad start. Bad start. Not what anybody needed, not what Mikel Arteta needed. Maybe it will add a little bit of urgency to our proceedings in the transfer market. Let's hope so. Right, I'll leave it there for now. Lovely to speak to you all again. And I'll be doing an Askcast on Sunday and a handbrake off on Monday. So speak to you then. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.